Hey everyone, and welcome to Games in Hand. I'm going to have a look at 5 different docks and a couple of adapters today to see if these work on your Steam Deck, ROG, Ally and Legion Go. You may have accumulated some of these over the periods of time with the Steam Deck, or maybe you are just looking at what is available. So, will it dock? Let's play a little game. Starting with the official Steam Deck dock, as you would expect, it fits the Steam Deck perfectly. However, that's only a naked Steam Deck. If you put a case on this, you have no chance of fitting it in here. And this really sits quite far forwards. It is a little bit unnerving when this is on the desk, to be honest, but it does fit the standard Steam Deck perfectly fine. So if that's what you're looking for, then it will do the job. However, when it comes to the other devices, you'll see that the ROG Ally does not fit in this at all. And I don't even want to let go. It's very, very unnerving. Surprisingly, the Legion Go does actually fit in this, and it actually holds it quite well. One of the only devices that I actually feel comfortable holding the Legion Go. So it's interesting the shape at the bottom that the ROG Ally doesn't fit, but JSAUX do provide this rubber mount. They also do a metal one as well if you prefer the rigidity of a metal case. I have an adapter for the official Steam Deck dock so that it can hold Steam Decks in cases. It is fine with the Steam Deck naked as well, although if you do push a little bit too hard, it does have a tendency to fall over, but with a case on, it is much more stable. However, with the adapter, the Legion Go no longer fits because of the rubber, because it hasn't got much rigidity to it. The weight of the Legion Go just pushes the rubber back and it does just fall out. So no mod case for the Legion Go. However, it does mean that with that case, it does now fit the ROG Ally. So if you were looking to use the official Steam Deck dock, so you've got the display port and the extra 65-watt charger, then you would look to need to have the extra adapter for the ROG Ally, whereas you wouldn't need it for a Steam Deck or a Legion Go outside of its case. Now, as far as power goes, those of you that know about the ROG Ally's 30-watt mode, being very picky about the charger, you'll see that the Steam Deck dock can actually do this with the right charger on the input, but you do have to make sure that the USB-C cable that you're using to power it is also capable of 100 watts. Now, the annoyance of the variation in USB-C cables is absolutely astonishing, and it winds me up every time. I've labeled quite a lot of my cables now so that I don't up the wrong ones when I want a display port or I want a 100-watt charge cable, but you also need to make sure that the chargers are capable of pushing 100 watts when using a dock. 65 watts via a dock will drop the wattage just low enough for it not to kick in properly, so make sure you use a 100-watt charger and supported cable when you're pushing those 30-watt modes. So see, the official dock is fine there, pushing through the full 100 watts. Also, the cable is long enough on the ROG Ally with the official dock for it to be able to fit, but it doesn't quite reach for the Legion Go. But if you do have a right angle connector on the official dock, if you do put it over slightly to the right, it does fit the Legion Go as well. However, it does look a little bit wonky because it's now over to the left, but it does hold it in place still and is dockable with that connector. You will need that extra right angle connector, also available via JSAUX, so it is a great place to pick up some additional accessories. It doesn't quite fit under the left hand side. It's a little bit wonky, so not really recommended underneath. Next up is pretty much my daily driver, which is the Ugreen Steam Deck dock. We've reviewed this a few times, and I'll leave links for all of these in the description below, but we have plenty of space on the standard Steam Deck as well as with a case on, and we've got plenty of space on the cable there as well at the back, so no problem with the standard Steam Deck. With the ROG Ally, once again, this does fit quite nicely, and we do have a USB-C as well as the HDMI and 2 USB standards on this one. One of the only docks that has an actual usable USB-C port. For the ROG Ally, this sits in perfectly fine. It can slip if you're not too careful, but it does hold in place generally, and no problem with the cable length there as well. And once again, with our 100-watt charger and cable plugged in, we have no issue hitting that 30-watt turbo mode, despite Armory Crate on Bios 331 still complaining that it's not quite good enough. As far as the Legion Go is concerned, this is a little bit too loose. It does sit on the dock okay, but if you're not too careful, it will fall back. What I have found with this is, again, the cable is just not quite long enough to sit in place. But what I generally do with this is I put on the right angle cable, and to also hold it in place on the dock itself, I actually extend the kickstand slightly so that it rests on the slightly larger backplate, and this actually holds it much more stable. You'll see with the pop-up there, it does have the full charge rate as well. And hopefully we'll see extended modes on these later on. But as you'll see, if we actually open the rear kickstand slightly, not the cleanest of solutions, but this does hold it in place, but you can't reach that bottom port. Next up is the KiwiHome black metal DisplayPort HDMI dock. This is one of the most expensive docks that we've been sent to review in the past. However, it is my favorite Steam Deck one because of this power button. If you're a creator or you just like to switch between docked and your screen occasionally, then this is absolutely phenomenal for keeping it all in one place. As you'll see, this holds the Steam Deck really, really well, and it just looks super sleek as well. The only problem with this is the cable is really, really short, even for the Steam Deck itself. Now, unfortunately, this does fit the Ally really well as the Steam Deck itself, but the cable is just too short to sit in perfectly on its own. Again, we can use that converter or move it over to the right hand side a little bit, but then it does become a little bit unstable. So we can use the ROG Ally. On this one, it's just a little bit fiddly. It still looks very good though, and it does support that 30-watt turbo mode. However, because of the length of that cable, it is a no-go on the Legion Go, which is a shame because this, like I said, is one of my favorite docks. But with that connector, it's much better on the ROG Ally. But even before I put the Legion Go on the stock, you can see that cable is not going to reach. So, as you'd expect, holds the Legion Go superbly well, but it just doesn't have that cable length at all. Now, they have told me that they are going to be looking at releasing a new version of this dock with a longer cable so that it will support things like the Legion Go and ROG Ally without additional connectors. So we'll be interested to see on that one. Last up is the RGB dock from JSAUX. This is got DisplayPort, it's even got audio out, as well as the HDMI and USB-C. Now, it's very easy to put the power in the wrong port and it will flash like this if the power is in the wrong place. And you'll see that this cable is really, really long. I'm not sure why it's got this kind of 90-degree angled to the right or left version of the cable for this. It's actually not the best for plugging in on top. As you can see, we've got loads of space. And when we put the power actually in the correct power port, we'll get that correct power flash through, and we'll also get the correct RGB light as well. So if you are looking for a nice RGB that holds the deck and all of the other devices really well, even in cases, then this RGB dock will definitely be the one for you. Unfortunately, personally, I am not a huge fan of RGB stuff. I don't like extra stuff flashing at me while I'm trying to play games, but it is a fantastic dock, and it does support that turbo mode quite happily. It gives you tons of ports, holds everything very firmly in place, and as you'd expect, especially with the length of that cable, we have no issue at all with the Legion Go. This right angle connector actually comes in quite handy a little bit later on, but for the top connector, again, we don't have any issue with the reach, and with that flatter style connector, it doesn't actually get in any of the way of some of the speakers or vents at all on the Legion Go. But because of the length of this cable, it means we can put it on the bottom port of the Legion Go, and it curves around quite nicely and hides away. It actually looks really good sat on the RGB dock. Now, because of the kickstand on the Legion Go, and you can get kickstand cases for both the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, of course you could just get a nice kickstand case and a standard USB dock and just plug them in and hide the cables behind. If you're looking at any of the existing docks that are available today, then these are your best options. Let us know if you're going to be picking any of these up, and we'll catch you in the next one.